Good morning, everyone. This is Christina Nava, and I am the director over the English Learner and Migrant programs here for the Idaho State Department of Education. Alyssa is going to convert the file to PDF and upload it, so you should see it in the bottom corner here shortly. And we will have a break between our webinar sessions, so just to give you an update on that. Let's go ahead and introduce ourselves and then we'll get started. So Sarah, I'll have you introduce yourself.
I'm Sarah Seamount. I'm the Migrant Education Coordinator for the State Department of Education.
And I am Alyssa Metzler. I am the State EL and Title III Coordinator.
All right. So the next slide then shows our very overview or a very brief agenda of our day today. I will share some commonalities between both programs and some announcements that we need to get out to you. Then Sarah will take over and talk about the migrant program. We'll have a break in between, and then Alyssa will close it up. As a reminder, please send in your questions. We do have someone taking a look at those. So please send those in. We'd be happy to answer them for the good of the group or possibly just within the question box. So for those of you who are new to your role in these two programs, just wanted to give you a visual of the voices behind the screens here. So yeah, just some fun photos here. Unfortunately, those of you who are not new know that that is an old Halloween picture, but we have, and I was so sick that I was not able to come to our Halloween party last year, but this year I hope I'm not sick and we can share another fun photo with you all.
There's a whole Pinterest page right now that has ideas, so just wait for it.
Exactly. Everything that we do here in our department, the EL and Migrant Department, falls with the big idea of our strategic goals that come from the state superintendent. So we have three, and they're here on this screen. I won't read them to you, but every time we are doing something or the work that we do here at the department is guided by these three goals that if you take a look at them, I think you'll agree that are pretty strong and reach every single student here in Idaho. So we're excited to have that as our guide for the work that we do. All right, so let's kind of jump right into some logistics. The IDCI, or the Idaho District Contact Information, is how we communicate with people or how we receive emails and phone numbers for who we need to talk to for these particular roles. So if you're not in the IDCI, you're not getting information from us. There's just no other way we can do this. But if you need help with getting onto the IDCI, or if you're not even sure if you're on the IDCI, please contact your either your regional IC coordinator. How else could they do that? Actually, I could show you a way with the website. So I can show them on the website here in a little bit. You'll drive for me, Sarah.
And a lot of times the IT coordinator or director for your district is also your IC manager, and they can make that change. That's also how you get access to MSIS, CFSGA, lots of alphabet soup opportunities there for you. So
yeah, that's a great point. So really need this to be current so that you're getting the information and your districts get the help and the support that they need from us.
And just so you know, that updates overnight. So if they make the change today, you'll be in IDCI tomorrow, and anytime we send an email, we pull a fresh list that day. So you could be, hot up and running in just less than 24 hours.
Agreed. And this is Alyssa, and the only thing I want to add to that really quick is we did have, Sarah and I have sent out a few communications in the last couple of weeks, and we have gotten some bounce backs from some people who, number one, are no longer in your district. So please also make sure to take previous personnel out. But there are a couple of you that have misspellings in your email addresses too. So you think you're in there correctly, but your district name might be spelled incorrectly, or you forgot a letter within someone's name, just an accidental typo, but those are also getting kicked back to us as well. So just double check if you have a moment.
And again, I'll show you how to do that if you're wondering, well, how do I do that? Okay. So a couple of upcoming events, actually more than a couple. The first one off the bat is our Federal Program Directors Meeting, which we hold in conjunction with the Special Education Department, as well as the other federal title programs, Title I, Title II, and on. There's a link. If you hover over the PDF, hopefully the PDF link stayed as far as being able to open up the PDF on your computer, and then can you hover, Sarah? Thank you.
Yep.
Should be able to hover over that PDF and click on that link to go to those respective sites to sign up. The other trainings that we offer are particular to our department. We have some regional fall trainings that Alyssa is providing, and for our migrant staff, Sarah will also be providing some fall trainings that again are held regionally, where the Federal Programs Directors Meeting is held in Boise. There's still room to register for all of those events, so please take a minute to do that. We'd love to see you, and we want to see you, and yeah, at those events. All right, so the next thing here, again, if you hover over those links within that PDF, you'll be able to go to those links and sign up. But we are looking for advisory committee members for both of the programs here. And just a quick purpose, why are we doing this? Is because we really want your voice. Last year, we had representation from all over the state for both of our programs in different work groups. And it was great to be able to take on this big workload as far as the Every Student Succeeds Act and the plan that we had to submit. We have to submit here in September. And to be able to work with you and get your voice at the table to make these decisions. I've said this before, we can make all the decisions up here all day, but that's not how we want to work. We really want your participation and your time. And it really, the commitment, it's going to depend. It's going to depend on the workload, as well as we want to have that conversation with people who are interested in. Some of you, we'll come together and we'll figure out that. So again, click on those links, and that's where you show your interest, and then we'll be in contact as far as when we'll meet the first time and the rest of that process. All right. We need help. With the Every Student Succeeds Act, we just have a lot more work that is on our plate, and our department cannot grow any more here at the State Department. We are only allocated so many bodies here from the state legislature, and that means we have to ask for contract work. And so I would encourage people, even though you have a full-time job, we do have opportunities where you can do this kind of work after hours, or maybe you take some time off from your job. It's twofold. Yes, it's some extra money in your pocket, but it's also a great experience for you to learn more about our programs. And so, yeah, like Sarah's doing there, she's clicking there or hovering over the link. You can sign up.
Do you want me to click on
it?
Yeah,
sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Let me just
Some people are saying the links are not active, others are. Just
okay, no. So I will look at that when I'm done.
Mm-hmm. So essentially, this is the form.
Yeah. The other thing we can do is put the links all in the chat box and send them out. So I can do that when I'm done, or whoever. So yeah, here, thanks Sarah for bringing this up. You can click everything that you're interested in. So we had opportunities this summer for counselors, both junior counselors, which were our support staff, and then teacher counselors. So you can click more than one option. Program monitoring is always an area that we need help with. And yeah, go down the list. You can choose as many opportunities as you're interested in. Now, filling out the form doesn't mean you automatically get a contract, but it does start the conversation as far as what that looks like, and we could get more into details with those people who are truly interested in that. Okay.
I don't want it to go back to the beginning.
Just your arrow key should be okay.
Just here?
There you go.
But
Yep.
it's not.
All right.
I'm not full screen anymore. I'm afraid it's going to put me back to the beginning.
Down at the bottom left, right there. Perfect.
There.
Okay. So now we have a little poll. These two ladies work really, really hard on communicating with you all, but we want to make sure that we are communicating effectively and not wasting anyone's time, to be quite honest. So we have created a quick little poll. Not sure who's going to run the poll.
Sarah, do you want to, you got it up there?
I don't see the poll.
Okay, and then click on, yep, right there.
Select poll.
That's the first one.
Yep, okay.
All right, so the first one, before she launches it, is the type of communication that you like. And I'm not trying to be cheesy in here. There is a none option. You'll see why. Go ahead and launch that.
Okay.
All right, we see people voting in. Nice. We will show you the results here in a moment. Wow, look at that percentage. I'm just looking at the percentage of votes. Not too shabby.
Yeah, 77% of people have voted. This is awesome.
You're
80%.
You're awake this morning. This is great. I'm not sure I am.
More coffee.
Exactly. Okay. Few more seconds to get any last votes in. There we go.
That was 1 minute.
Okay. Okay, fabulous. I think we're good there.
All right.
All right, go back and choose another one. So that was just the type of communication.
Why is it not letting me click?
Go to. And then now you have a chance to open it.
Okay.
Now we're going to look at, so that was the type of communication. Now this is the frequency of the particular type. So this one has to do with newsletters. So if you chose newsletters, choose the frequency. This is very, very helpful. We do have a way to share the results. We may have to go through the whole poll. I don't remember. It's been a few months since we did our last webinar. And they've updated the system. Very fancy.
It is very fancy.
We want to get to about 80 or 1 minute.
Yeah, if you're not sure which one to click, if you're kind of okay with whatever, you can just pick one. You don't have to feel strongly about your answer.
Yeah, that's
we're just getting people's kind of feel for it. There we go, that got it.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, so close that one.
And one more. So this one will be the frequency of the webinars, such as what we're doing right now.
Okay, there it goes. Fascinating. Love it. So there's that. Yeah. Okay, and then go back to polls. And we are at
Almost there.
almost 80%.
We're about 78%. So whoever that last person was.
There we go, 80%. Yay. Okay.
Awesome.
So we'll go ahead and close that. And then since Christina's good with technology, she'll figure out how to share that with you, because
Yeah,
I don't have a clue.
We've done that before. I think.
Oh, it does say share.
Okay, now, okay, go ahead.
So should I do that?
Yeah, please.
Okay,
Yeah, I think
yeah,
we should share with folks.
Share, okay. Can I go to more than one? Well, let me look at.
Can you go to audience view?
Yeah.
And so that we can.
Oh, I can tell you. Yeah, I can.
There we go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I have it pulled up.
So can you read it, Alyssa? Because we can't.
So just so you know, this is Alyssa. Just so you know, there's our frequency of webinars, how often you'd like to do the calls like what we're doing right now. It was pretty overwhelmingly quarterly, so we'll continue to do that, which is what we did last year. We had about 4. I think that the way that the schedule worked out this year, we put 4 also on the calendar with maybe a 5th, depending on how things went in the spring for us. So yeah, so we'll keep it that way. In terms of, so that was the quarterly frequency of webinars.
Okay, and then we're kind of going backwards from where we.
Yeah, so as for the frequency of the newsletters that we send you, those emails that you would receive from Sarah and I, those bi-weekly emails that we'd send out about every 2 weeks previously, that was based on the poll that we did last time about this time of year, asking y'all about this. And so it looks like we can do one that is now monthly. It looks pretty well, overwhelmingly, that you would prefer to have those emails more monthly than every 2 weeks, which we can absolutely do. And then the last one
What's the first question?
was the first one, which is, so we're going, actually she said we're going in backwards order. The types of communication and what kinds of communications that you prefer versus, so newsletters were still pretty high and webinars were still very high. So, and then none was there were still some of you that says just email when needed. So.
Okay.
Now hide
Hide
that.
that, and then go back to audience view. And why are they still seeing that?
Take the unshare.
No, because I hit it.
Click on your PowerPoint.
Oh,
There you go.
good.
Wait, no, go back.
It's still showing.
Okay, here. I got to drive.
Okay, please.
I'm so sorry.
Oh,
We're having.
If we go back
Oh,
there.
there we go. Yep, you're right.
Nope. Little bit old.
Was there on the down arrow? Was there another choice? Show.
There we go. What? Nope, they went up there. Not. What if you stop sharing screen and then start sharing again?
It stopped right now.
I'm so sorry. We're.
Got it. It's back. It's back. You're good. Okay. You're there.
Okay.
So then we need
I'm
to
not
go
sure
back.
what I did, but
You did it, whatever it was,
Yeah,
and then
go
we
back
need
up
to
here.
go back.
thanks again for the communication poll. Yeah, that's great information, and we are going to do what you guys are interested in and want us to do. Go ahead and.
There we go.
Okay, so I also get the opportunity to talk about protecting student data. We still are receiving emails with student information from folks out in the field, and we really need you guys to be aware that we cannot continue to do business this way. So these are some ways that you can access or share information with us. They're not all on here, but the secure FTP side is definitely one way to share data. A phone call, you can call us and we can talk about students over the phone, but definitely not during or over email whatsoever. And so this just has a link to the particular law. And please refer to your district's guidance on PII or student information. So just a reminder, please do not share information about students with us via email.
And just so you know, this is Sarah. When we get a fax, it comes through our email, so fax cannot be used either. You can use U.S. mail if it's not urgent. Attention it to one of us, and we will get it. But I would strongly recommend the FTP site. And if you need an account and don't have a login with the FTP site and you need one for migrant, you'll contact me. If you need it for EL, you'll contact Alyssa, and we will get you all set up. And it's very simple to use.
Can you share how to find it?
Oh, if you want to find the FTP site, well, it'll come in a link in the email that I send when I set up new accounts. So, yeah. When you get your account signed up, then you'll get an email that has your login, your password, and all the instructions for how to use it. So, all right.
Oh, you clicked on the law.
I did. We could read the law. That would be exciting. No. There we go.
All right, so let's take a minute to look at our website, and I think a couple of things came up that we can kind of navigate to. So IDCI being one of them, and I can hover over the secure site. I can show you where it's at, but you can't do anything unless you email these two ladies to get access. So Sarah is scrolling down to the tiles down at the bottom. There's English Learner and Migrant. Go and click on that. And we have up at the top some pretty important information here. So our calendar events, let's go there first. This is synced to our Outlook calendar, meaning all of our events are posted in here as far as other information that you may need, like how to register or a website link or something to that effect. So you can see here for today, we have our webinar call.
And if you click on that, I think, if I remember right, it shows your registration.
It should show you more information about how to register if for some reason you're not in IDCI yet.
For some reason, it's not wanting to do that just right now, so I don't want to mess that up, but let me go back. Okay, so that's the calendar.
I would go then to the portal next. These are the different applications that we use. And so there's that secure site that we were talking about. If you click on that, again, you can't do anything unless you have a password, and there's Paris. We're not going to go in there.
No, don't need to do that.
We're not going to share that.
Nope.
The FSGA is for our directors to fill up a plan annually. ELMS application, MSIS, and so forth. And
M6, and so everything you could ever need. It is the most useful thing.
All right, so let's show them IDCI really quick since we covered over the
IDCI.
So you have to go into each respective program. So let's go into Migrant there, and off to the side, click on that link, and this shows everybody that has this particular role in IDCI. So this is not only a great resource for us, but this is a great resource for you as well. It shows the region, addresses, phone numbers for people. You can contact each other. In fact, we encourage that. If you want to coordinate and collaborate with your neighbors there on the migrant program or with the EL program. And so this is the information that Alyssa mentioned. Please take a look at. There were some misspellings and whatnot, and so that then halts that communication.
You can also see who your regional is. These are all of the district the regionals for the migrant program, and shows which districts they serve.
Do that again for Alyssa's.
Yeah, let's go. So I'm going to go back up here.
Perfect.
And then English learners.
Okay.
And so for Title III and EL, you have two different roles here. You have your Title III instruction for EL, limited English proficiency for English learners. This is the kind of your program person. And then the other role that is underneath that on the list is called Idaho English Language Proficiency Coordinator. This is the person who is in charge of and needs to get information regarding your English language proficiency assessment. So anything WIDA related. So they go together. A lot of you are within that same role, because if you're like me in the district, when I was in the district, you wear both of those hats. But some of you do have different people within those roles. Maybe you have a testing coordinator who gets the testing information. But But just a reminder, you can have multiple people within each of these roles. So if your program person also wants the assessment stuff, put 2 people in that role. You can have multiple people.
Mm-hmm. And if you look here, we're on Alyssa's on the EL side. It also shows you the most current biweekly update that she sent out, or as quickly as we can get them uploaded. And then it also has archives for previous one. If you think to yourself, oh gosh, I know I saw something and I really need to go back to it, this is where you would find that.
And just really quickly, a question just came through regarding how do you get your contact information on those lists. This is who you would need to contact, an individual, your IC person in your district or your regional IC coordinator in order to get your name on that list. We don't have the ability to add people to the list because it is kind of updated at the local level. So like Sarah said earlier, these are updated. So if you put information in tonight, it'll show up tomorrow morning. They are updated that quickly, but you would need to contact your IC coordinator in your district or your regional IC coordinator in order to make sure you are assigned those roles.
If you are in a large district, you may not know who that person is. So I would suggest go over to the technology and just flash the phone number for the SDE support.
SDE support, where you?
You would have to go back to the department, to their website.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So I'm actually going to go back to here,
mm-hmm.
and then we're going to go to IC.
And then right there. So hover over support desk. Jot that information down, and they are fabulous. We have fabulous IT people upstairs. I mean, some of you even know them by name, which is great, and we love that. So jot that information down. If you have any problems with any of the applications, start there, and then they will find out who it is that they need to talk to, or that you need to talk to. So please start with them. They're a great way to get the information that you need, and they know our programs enough to go, okay, Alyssa needs to answer that question, or you need to contact this person. So
there's also, I believe, a very good video, yes, on how to get started. If you're brand new and you want to understand how all the state apps work and how to get started, that video is very good. I've looked at it. So.
Great.
All right. So should we go back, or are we done?
Yeah, I think that's enough.
Okay. Let me just close a couple things. There we go. And there's a wealth of good information on the website.
All right. So we do have a YouTube channel. Unfortunately, I know this is going to be changing here shortly, but for the time being, this is how you can catch these webinars. So what we'll do is we'll upload this quarterly call to YouTube. So if you didn't get a chance to tune in, or you want to re-listen to it again, yeah, go to our YouTube site and you'll be able to access it. And it is changing. In January, we're going through a rebranding, just so you're all aware, as far as the department goes. And so we will have a different YouTube channel, but we still will have one. All right. Thanks, Sarah.
All right. So we are going to move on to education of migratory children. And so that is the new name under ESSA instead of Migrant Education Program, which we will still use in a lot of cases. But in the law, it is the education of migratory children. So we're going to talk about what's due, what's new, and what's in the news. So what's due, I think this is probably, I hope, is something that's on all of your minds. It is definitely on my mind. I'm hoping, for your sake, that most of it is already done. And knowing your liaisons out there in the districts, they do a fantastic job of getting the data in. So the things that I put a check box or a check mark next to should have been done continuously throughout the year. And those that include services, immunizations, residency dates, priority for services, and other areas. All of this is in MSIS. The two that are bolded, residency dates and PFS, those affect funding. So not that it's about the money, but we do want to make sure that if something is going to affect your funding, that you're aware of that, so that you can make absolutely sure that all of it's correct. Summer data, if you haven't already put it in, please do so now. That also will affect, and I forgot to bold that one, but participation also affects funding. And you can also enter your summer services and summer PFS. And then for the new-ish data collection that we started last year, you have your re-interview summary, and that is the same as it was last year. And I think most of you are done. I've done some reviewing of where people are at, and it looks like most of them are complete. The thing that probably is not complete for many districts, well, I know it isn't because I've looked, is the MPO evaluation. And so we're going to talk about that briefly. But just so you see kind of what the way our schedule works is we have regular data that's entered throughout the year, summer data that's entered during or after summer school, and then data collection, which is the newer piece that is done throughout the year, but for many districts cannot be finalized until after summer school, which is why you get to September 15th. This is all due in MSIS September 15th by 5 p.m. And the answer to the question that some of you are probably wanting to ask is there any wiggle room on that? The answer is no. There is no wiggle room at all. So this is something I should have done a poll and said, should I have said it was due by September 1st? Because I've said September 15th, and it really is September 15th. MSIS will roll over into the 17-18 school year that evening. So it is something to be aware of. If you are feeling like you're going to be in trouble and you need help, now is the time to reach out for that help, either through your regional or through me, and we will help you get where you need to be. There is still time, but it is running out quickly. And so this is what it looks like. When you go into MSIS, you have the annual data collection for 16-17. When you click on that, there's a re-interview summary. That's the one where I think most of them are done. And then there's the CFSGA MPO evaluation. That's where you're answering the question, you chose some goals last year, how did you do on those? And there is a how-to video, and that is on YouTube on our channel, or you can also use this link to see it. It's about 36 minutes. The MPO part starts about halfway through. So, and it's in the description of the video at what second you would need to advance it. If you just want to see that, it'll tell you where you need to go in the video to just start with just that and not have to watch the whole thing. So probably 15 minutes is all. In doing these, and let's see, in talking about the MPO evaluations, our measurable performance outcome evaluations that we are doing as districts and that we will be doing as a state, one of the things that has come up with many of you in conversation is, well, this says that I need to say how many kids, did 80% of my students receive services based on a student intake form? And I've had people ask me, well, where is the student intake form? And the reality is each and every district has made their own. And that's a lot of duplication of work. And that isn't what we want for you. It doesn't make any sense. Instead, what we will provide, and I've told everybody that I've talked to on this topic that we would provide something. We now have a draft of it. We will provide a toolkit. That toolkit will list out each of the different MPOs, the strategies that you can use to meet those measurable performance outcomes, and that will provide you tools that you can use in order to track your progress towards meeting those goals. Because we didn't have all of that, this year as you fill out your MPO evaluation, you were going to say, did you meet your goal, yes or no? It's very simple. It tells you which ones you selected, so you're only answering the ones that you selected for last year. On the comments, next year, I'm going to ask you to give me percentages where percentages are quoted. So if it says 80%, I want to know what your percent was. However, for this year, if you describe your activity, if you have a percentage, give your percentage in the comments. If you don't, say what you did and move on. I want everybody to have the experience of completing it. When we're looking at the 17-18 data, you will need to be more specific, but you'll have all those tools. They're all in Word, so they're all adaptable to fit the needs of your district. So if there's a parent pre-post survey, we have a parent pre-post survey. The thing that most people have asked about for next year is the partnership agreement for the health. As you've been choosing that one, I believe that one is a required one. This is a very basic form. You can add to it, but this will give you something to get you started. So this toolkit is done. If you are at all interested in helping provide review feedback to me, because it is a kind of a long document. Christina has looked at it. I've definitely worked on it. Kelly's looking at it. But, you know, I want to make sure that things are as clean as possible. If you would like to help with proofing it, let us know in the chat, and we will be happy to send you a copy. We will post it to the website.
Just a clarifying question that came through exactly on this. Does this mean you have a state survey for us ready, or do they still need to create one of their own?
We will have a survey for each and every MPO for 17-18, and you are welcome to add to that. So if you do some kind of a parent event and it asks you to do a pre and post survey of your parents, you can use the one that I've created. It will answer the question that the MPO is driving at, but you're also welcome to add more to it. You're also welcome to take parts from different surveys. If you're going to do more than one MPO in a single evening, you don't need to hand the parents 3 surveys. I've prepared 3, 1 for each, but you could combine those into a single document. The trick is just to take this and adapt it and make it fit your needs. So there will be a survey or any kind of, whatever you need, whatever tools you need for every single one of the new MPOs will be part of this document, and you can use it. And we will also be covering this in the fall experienced migrant directors meeting. We'll have a beginners one. I don't think we'll spend as much time on it for the beginners. And then we'll also have a little bit to do with this in our fall migrant training. So this is just an introduction to it. It is here. It is going to be available so that you're aware of that.
So again, the whole purpose of these documents is so that you can get the information as indicated in the CFSGA to us, because we require that, but it's to make your life easier. So these are wonderful documents. Sarah's done an amazing job, but they're also there for you to adapt them as needed. They're ready to go, or you can add a few, or like she said, combine the 3 surveys into one so that you're not overwhelming the parents. So either way, it's just wonderful, and I hope that you will agree when you see them.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me a little bit of the comprehensive needs assessment toolkit that we worked with a consultant, and so I went and looked at that and thought, well, this is great. This is so usable. How can I do something similar? But it's around now our measurable performance outcomes. So hopefully these will be very, very useful, and it'll be very much a living document. So as you discover things using these that you think, wow, this would be so much better if we changed that, I'll be looking forward to getting that feedback so that we can update them as we go. All right, so now we've talked about what's due. Now we're talking about what's new. And what's new, we have changes to eligibility, priority for services. We have our new Migrant Consortium, which I'm super excited about. And we have some upcoming training, which I guess I did mention it. Okay, so major eligibility changes. This little guy reminds me of somebody I used to babysit. She was very Southern, and she was about 2, and she would say to me, I don't want to. And I would say, well, I'm sorry, Samantha, but you're going to. And so we're kind of there with eligibility. We don't want to change. It's hard to change. But we have done, the initial training was last May, and those were regional trainings delivered by the regionals with my help. And we shared our initial, what we had gotten from the Office of Migrant Ed. We will be doing ongoing training, fall of 17, both through state training and regional training. We will be doing scenarios, even though not everybody loves scenarios. They are the best way for us to really go through, would this child qualify or wouldn't they, based on the information that we give in the scenario. And what you're going to find is that what used to qualify in very rare cases doesn't, but more often what didn't used to qualify now does. That's going to help us as a state, and in terms of districts, we're going to be able, I hope, to recruit more families. But for those of us who've been around a long time, it is a relearning process. It has been affecting CFSGA approval, which is why I mentioned it in this webinar. If you get a comment in your CFSGA plan for migrant that says, for question 1, you need to change your definition. The reason for that is that we can no longer say that part of the definition of a migrant family or a migrant worker is someone who came with the intent to, or who was came in order to obtain It can't be about what they planned to do. It has to be about what they did. So if that is in your definition in question 1 in MEP supplemental information in CFSGA, you will get a comment from me that says you need to change it. And in that comment, I will give you a brief definition that you can just copy and paste that matches the new guidelines. And I know a lot of directors don't usually go to regional trainings and weren't there last spring, so I apologize that you weren't aware of that change, and I will make sure that you have the wording. It's usually a quick copy and paste, but we can't use that language with the intent to or in order to obtain that talked about the worker's intent of finding a job who did not find a job. So that will be something that will affect some of you. And my last thing on this slide is to just be gentle with yourself. It takes time to learn something new. If you've been doing this a long time and you're looking at this new stuff and feeling your blood pressure rising, just breathe, take time, use the checklist, and we'll get better at it as we go. Priority for services is actually a lot easier. So the one that we just looked at is proving difficult for people to adjust to the changes. But the priority for services, we used to have a thing called excessive absences, and it had to be due to the student's migratory lifestyle. And the problem with that was, how do you say what's due to a migratory lifestyle, and what isn't? So that's gone. It's no longer in the law, but we're also no longer restricted to only moves during the regular school year. Now it is a very straightforward qualifying move within the last 12 months. So that means it matters when you look, because you can look back 12 months. The worksheet in MSIS will now give you the answer to the question, does the student meet criteria 1, educational interruption? Because that one is given, it's based on the QAD, on the student certificate of eligibility. Did they have a qualifying move within the last 12 months is something that the computer can now answer. It's very reliable, and it will give you that criteria 1. Criteria 2, the one about academic risk, in that report you will get lots of assessment data. We could almost tell you who your PFS students are, but you have to have the opportunity for a student with no test scores to use some of the alternate indicators that you can use. And so criteria 2, you will have to mark yes or no. Keep in mind that for our first example, it's clearly a no. Both the student has neither thing. But for Daffy Duck and Scooby-Doo, they each have one of the 2 criteria. They do not qualify as PFS. Only Minnie Mouse qualifies because only she has both the educational interruption and the academic risk. So just be sure when you're doing that you have both of those risk factors as a yes, and then you can determine that the student is priority for services. Okay, our Migrant Consortium is a new thing. This year, districts who probably are not here, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, districts that have chosen to participate, that do not receive a migrant allocation, can start receiving support directly from our migrant IDNR regional coordinators, who will help them to start identifying by recruiting in those districts. We've already recruited families in districts that do not have a migrant program. If a district begins to have enough students to qualify to receive a migrant allocation, we will work with them so that they can come back online as a migrant district, or if it's a very, very low number, perhaps stay in the consortium. So this is new. Some of the tools that we're providing are posters that can be published or that can be hung in the schools and in local community places. I would be very curious to know, if you want to type in the comments or in the chat, if districts would like to have these posters and flyers in their own districts, even if you are in a migrant district. So those are in their final development. And so if you are here for Title III and you are not a migrant district and you're like, wait, I want to know more about this consortium, if you look in CFSGA under the Title 1C migrants, you will see that if you do not receive an allocation, you do have the opportunity to join, and it will outline what are your responsibilities and what will be our responsibilities in order for us to better be able to find and serve migrant kids, because that is what we want to do. So there's some information. And we're, like I said, these are still in the final production phases. Been making a lot of changes, but I think we're pretty close. All right, so the last thing I have is on migrant training, I wanted to specify what training you should maybe sign up for. If you are a new director and you are that puppy with your nose barely above water, when you come to the fall federal program directors meeting, I would go to the beginner session. And then you're going to have a lot of other sessions that you need to also attend. So if you can get to the beginners, there's going to be one that is called Beginning Migrant Directors, the big picture, I think is the name of that session. And then you also will need to come to the fall migrant training on the second day in the morning. And when you go to register, you can click a box that'll say that's what you're signing up for, is the second day in the morning, the directors meeting, and you will get more information, the information that I'll be sharing with experienced directors during the federal program directors meeting. For those of you who are seasoned directors and you're the puppy down there that could just swim across this pond all day long with your eyes closed and be fine, you need to attend one of two sessions. Either the fall directors meeting, the fall federal program directors meeting advanced session, I think it's called for seasoned directors, and it has to do with updates, new things, toolkits, all that. Come to that, or you're welcome to come to both, or come to the fall migrant training in your area. And again, you can sign up just to attend just the directors meeting, or you can attend the entire fall training. It is totally up to you. So this is to kind of help steer you. I know your time is very precious and very limited. This I'm hoping will help people know kind of what they should sign up for in terms of migrant training. And then I know we've been talking about this for 2 going on 3 years, but with the new with the new national COE, we suffered a 6-month setback. We are back on track. The electronic COE is right now in beta testing. There are 5 or 6 of us that are going to be working on that. I've actually tried creating a COE. It is quite user-friendly, but we still have a long way to go. We have to make sure that every single thing on it works, because before you get out there in a living room trying to do this on a computer, we need to have done our very best to break it. That's what they tell you when you're testing. Try to break the system. Because if you can do it in testing, it can happen out in the field, and it will happen. So we have a handful of people. I know I've asked this question before, and I'm sure you're like, this is the kid crying wolf, but I would like to start over fresh. We will be looking at piloting this spring, is the plan right now. And so if you are interested in piloting the ECOE, please go into the chat and say, pilot district, please, and let us know that you are interested.
Really quick, Sarah, a question came in right on your COEs. When will our family liaisons need their computers for the new ECOE, and do you have the regs required for the computers?
Oh, that's a very good question. We actually have, once it goes out there, there's a way that you can test your device. That's in fact, the very first thing you do is test your device to see if it works. We will have a phased-in implementation so that districts will have plenty of time. So if you're in a pilot district, then you probably want for your people to have either a tablet or an iPad or any kind of mobile device with a touch screen, because that will make it much easier for parents to sign. It actually will work on so many different devices. So what they did, rather than make a list of all the different devices that it'll work on, it's actually, there are fewer devices it won't work on than it will. So instead what they did is they set it up so you'll be able to run the test, and the test will go in and it will look at all the parameters of your device, and it will tell you, yes, it's compatible, or no, it isn't. From what I understand, it will work on anything from an inexpensive Android tablet to an iPad. It technically will work on a phone. I think that's a terrible idea in terms of how to fill out a COE, but it will work on just about any mobile device. And I think it only requires that you have a fairly recent version of HTML, which most devices do. So
Sarah, we're
yeah.
scaring them. We want people.
Yeah.
That's way too much into the
Okay.
weeds. We need people to, if you're interested in piloting it, I think that's part of the process.
Yes.
Is to figure all of those things out. You know, theoretically, we think that this is how it's going to be, but until we get out there, we have no idea.
Yeah.
The plan was from the beginning to make sure that this works on as many devices as possible, because you guys we don't all like the same product, and that's okay. But yes, so how do they contact you? Or
they're putting it in the chat if they're interested in piloting, and we may do the piloting a couple of districts and then add a couple and then add a couple until so we do want to do a phased rollout. People, just for your reassurance, people will continue to be able to use paper COEs for a considerable amount of time. We will not be jumping in and just discontinuing the paper COEs. We'll be able to do both for a time until we fully roll over into electronic. Okay, the last thing I have for you is just a little slide collage of pictures from the Migrant Student Leadership Institute. This was a fantastic event. It was our first time bringing something back. Christina did a ton of legwork to make that happen. I worked on it. Our counselors worked tirelessly. So many people worked together to make this happen. Our first year, we had 31 students. Our goal was for 50, but honestly, 31 seemed like a lot when they were there. And I'm hoping that next year we will reach that 50 cap. And so the students were with us for 2 weeks. They were living on the BSU campus. We took them to McCall for a weekend. They did a ropes course. They did so much learning around themselves as people and in terms of looking at their career and college aspirations. They did things with the career information system. They went on walking tours of local businesses. They did a job shadow. They learned about themselves as leaders. And they just plain had a ton of fun. So for those of you who really encouraged your kids to sign up, and I know some of you kind of really encouraged, you kind of voluntold a few of those kids out there that this would be good for them. Thank you so much for doing that. We know from their presentations that they were very, very afraid when they got on the buses, but I think most of them will be our best ambassadors for next year's cohort to come and be part of that inspirational opportunity. And for Migrant, I believe that is it.
And really quick before we take a break, Sarah, one other question that did come through when you were talking about the reporting requirements.
Mm-hmm.
The question is, if K-12 students are children of farm workers, does this reporting standard and deadline apply?
They have to actually be in the migrant education program. So if you're asking that question and you're from a district that doesn't have a migrant program, you do not have to do any reporting. So you only, if you're a district that receives migrant dollars, are you required to do those reports. If you are in a migrant district that might have migrant agricultural workers in your area and you don't receive funds, please sign up for the consortium. We would love to help you find and serve those students.
Okay, with that, we're going to take a 5-minute break. So take a minute, go refresh your coffee, and we'll be back in about 5 minutes, like 10:31, and we'll continue on with the Title III and EL portion of our webinar. See you in a few.
Testing.
All right, everyone. Well, this is Alyssa, and we're going to start back with our State EL and Title III portion of our webinar this morning. And we're going to go ahead and just get started with just a reminder that we do have some upcoming trainings. We have one coming up next week. Many people are already registered, but just in case you're not, this is a reminder that it is next week. And if you do need to get registered, how you can get registered and contact. This is going to be fall EL training for just EL updates is going to be part of the day. And then the other part of the day, WIDA will be in the house here in Idaho giving you face-to-face training on our new WIDA screener assessment. So those of you who are giving the assessments right now, you will know that the WAPT for grades 1 through 12 has now been discontinued, and we have officially made the transition over to our new WIDA online screener. So that is really why we wanted to make sure that you heard the most up-to-date information direct from WIDA, so they will be here next week. Next week will be in Meridian on the 5th, Twin Falls on the 6th, and Idaho Falls on the 8th. If you are not registered for this and you need to have someone registered for this, the deadline actually did close last night, but Melanie Jones said if you are not registered, to please contact her immediately to make sure that you can get on that registration list to be able to attend those trainings next week. Coeur d'Alene and the up north of session of this training will occur at the end of September in conjunction with another training for, so there is a separate, you will see there is a separate link right under the Coeur d'Alene training for that training. So it's not the same training, it's not the same registration link as the Meridian, Twin Falls, Idaho Falls. If you need next week's training, please contact Melanie and there is her information. Just so you know, please bring with you for the EL portion of the day that you're gonna be with me, please bring any screener scores that you have that need to be put into the English Learner Management System. If you have students who over the summer have transferred into your district who have come with out-of-state WIDA access scores, bring those. We're going to teach you how to put those into ELMS. We're going to take some real good time to talk about the new enhancements that you're going to see in ELMS this year. Make sure you have a computer or laptop device to be able to navigate these programs with us when we're doing that. And if you're like me, my battery for my computer lasts like 45 seconds, so make sure you bring a battery if you need one. Also, double check, triple check, quadruple check. Make sure that you have access to the WIDA US site and the AMS site, meaning you have logins that work with passwords that work, so that you have the availability to get into these systems and see the students, see the individuals who are administering assessments in your district. Make sure you can not only just get to the sites, but you can actually log into the sites and have your login username and your password. So, and if you are familiar with ELMS, have some students who are already enrolled in your district, look them up in ELMS and add them to a work in progress page so that we can look at some kids. Just a thought, that's not as much as a requirement. We can still find kids when you are in the training, but if you have some students who are already logged onto that work in progress page on ELMS, and if you're familiar with ELMS, you know what I'm talking about. We will get there for those of you who are still learning about ELMS, but just a thought.
We do have a couple of questions.
Yeah.
Do participants need to bring a computer for the WIDA portion?
Yes.
And also, if a district has already been entering into ELMS, does this portion of the meeting apply? I'm not sure.
Yes, it does apply to all districts. That is simply because the way that the new screener assessment is reporting out to you is different than the way that you put in WAPTs previously. So the way that you are putting in scores is very different this year from what it was last year. You will not, it is not the same process. So yes, that does apply. Please have someone come so you know what are the changes. And we're going to talk about some of the changes here in just a minute that you'll be able to see.
And the last question is, how do people get login access if they don't already have it?
That would be contact Melanie Jones. There's her contact information. She will be able to get you set up with WIDA and get you the login information that you need. Okay? The other exciting training that we have upcoming this fall is called our Go-To Instructional Strategies for Classroom Teachers of English Learners. This is going to be held up north on September 26th, and then October 10th, 11th, and 12th in Fort Hall, Twin Falls in the Nampa area. If you are interested in attending this training for the up north area and the Coeur d'Alene area, this is your registration link. If you are coming to the Fort Hall, Twin Falls or Nampa area, this is the registration for your training. So use those to continue to register. If you're wondering who should attend this kind of training, this is really a training for your classroom teachers. I know that when I used to be in the school district, I would often have a teacher who would come to me first or second week of school, deer in headlights look, saying, oh my gosh, I've never had an English learner ever before, what do I do? And so I know that a lot of you and a lot of your teachers are experiencing that right now. So this is really some training that we hope that they will leave with a 78 strategies toolkit. They're going to be able to be there, bring WIDA scores with them. They will chart out and graph their English learners, their scores, and really start to look at targeting instruction in the areas that those students need support in. Like I said, they will have a toolkit of, I believe it's 78 strategies. And what's really great about these strategies are they are things that these classroom teachers know. And what's awesome about it is they are already targeted specifically to levels of language development that they work for. So for example, if you are a classroom teacher who just got a level 2 student in your classroom and you don't know what to do with them, this strategy toolkit will allow you to look up strategies that work for students who are at language proficiency levels of 2 and what works for them. So that is what this training is going to be all about. So please use those registration links. We are really excited about being able to offer this training. This is kind of our rollout year this year. We do plan and anticipate on having additional, maybe even more in-depth training on this in the summer that maybe your teachers would be able to register for credit. So that's kind of upcoming this summer, but this is kind of our initial rollout. It's going to be a whole day training for teachers, okay, and coaches.
And there's been lots of feedback. Is there a limit to the number of people a district can bring?
So I would say that it's limited to the amount of space that we have in each of those locations. In our hope to be equal opportunity so that all districts can get this, I would hope that you would be able to send a team of teachers who would be able to take it back rather than sending maybe your entire staff of 300 teachers. But if you are interested in something like that and us being able to provide that training, contact us and maybe we can arrange something.
All right, any cost?
No, it is not. There is no cost associated.
And a couple of people said this is awesome. So there's excitement out there.
We're really, really excited about it. So,
yeah.
Oh, I guess the cost that would be associated with it for your district would be the cost of you getting there. So, English Learner Management System, we talked a little bit about this a minute ago, but just some new enhancements that we're going to do some training on next week. The things that you're going to see new within the system are we have now incorporated ELPs, English Learner Plans, into the ELM system. So you will be able to look up a student and write your ELPs within ELMs now. You will be able to start doing your erroneous identification applications, meaning for those kiddos who qualified for the wrong reasons previously, being able to apply to have that EL designation removed. That's also been added to the ELMs. Again, like I said, the WIDA screener score entry is very different than what it was previously with the WAPT for grades 1 through 12. And you're also going to be able to put in any out-of-state WIDA scores for a student who maybe has transferred into Idaho from another WIDA state. And we're going to talk all about that next week. What's the same? What's not going to change for you is that it's the same process to find a student, to view assessments, their history, their WAPT for kindergarten does not change, and the data collection, and that you still have to have that ELMS.editor role. So those things did not change. That's what stayed the same. So I am imploring and begging you to please, after this webinar, go into your ELMS and double check to make sure your EL data collection for the 16-17 school year has been completed and submitted. There are several of you who either have not started this or have like 1 or 2 errors within your data, which is not allowing you to have the information submitted, and it has to be submitted.
Alyssa, I hate to put you on the spot, but is there a way that you can show everyone right now what it looks like?
Yes, I do.
Okay,
yep,
perfect.
I do have that.
Awesome.
So when you sign into ELMS, and that, thank you for this, a perfect segue. So when you sign into ELMS, this is what I'm going to ask that you look for. When you sign in, make sure that you click on, this is from the beta side, but it will say, make sure that yours says 2016-2017. Make sure you are in last year's data collection, okay? You are going to click on the 2016-2017 EL data, and it is going to pop up a screen that looks like this. If you see this right here, right, when you have the EL data collection, if you have any validation issues here, that is preventing you from being able to submit. So those have to be fixed for you to be able to submit your data. So please double check and make sure that you do not have any issues. There are 2 issues that I am seeing often, and I'm going to show you really quick how to fix those. But if you have issues here that you're not sure how to fix them, click on this show high detail. It will tell you exactly what is missing a response or needs to have a response within it for you to be able to submit. So the 2 that I'm seeing most often are this. There's one, this district had an issue count of 1. Question 312 was missing a required response. This is in the area of educational programs. There's a weird little quirk in the system. You have to leave 311 blank with nothing in it if you do not have any other programs that you are providing that are in addition to the list that's already provided, and then a 0 here. That is how you're going to get rid of this error, okay?
And let me just add, in the migrant program for the data collection, there is also a validation issues tab that shows to the right of the 2 reports that have to be completed. And so make sure that that's 0. It'll be bright red. If you've got a validation issue, it will not let you submit it.
The other error that I'm seeing often is question 5-6, and this is under the professional development tab. 5-6 will say other professional development. This would be, have you provided any other professional development other than what has already been listed in numbers 5-1 through 5-5. If you didn't have any, make sure you put none or NA. It doesn't like the blank, okay? Those are the 2 that I'm seeing a lot of, or that you haven't started, or the districts haven't started. So please, I'm begging and imploring you to please double check and make sure that you go in after this webinar and just double check and make sure that you see, this is what I want you to make sure you see. Once you have all of your issues accounted for, errors, make sure that you click save after you answer the questions. There's going to be a certification box that will now appear under the district home tab. Make sure you check that, and then a submit button will appear. And unless you see this checkbox and the submit button, you are not submitted, okay? So please double check and make sure that yours looks like this. You will see a submitted by person and the date that it was submitted. So this is really what you want to look for, okay? So please double check that. I cannot approve your state EL or Title III plans in CFSGA until this is submitted and with your plans. So I do check to make sure this is submitted and completed when I am approving those plans. Imagine Learning. If you have questions about Imagine Learning, here is the contact individuals for the licenses or any professional development that you need to offer for any of your Imagine Learning needs in your district. So Lori Piccolo and Emily Bybee are our contacts for that. IDLA, last week when I sent out the biweekly email, I attached 2 course descriptions for an English as a New Language 1 and an English as a New Language 2. That is an online newcomers course that IDLA has created and is offering for newcomers in districts. That is an online course. If you need that handout again, please email me. I am happy to forward those on to you again. But it was attached as part of the biweekly email that I sent out to all the individuals in that Title III and EL coordinator IDCI roles last week. So let me know. It was brought to my attention by someone that the extension link wasn't working that was on those. So I have provided the extension and the registrar's names of who you can contact at IDLA to get your students enrolled in that.
There were 2 questions on the Imagine Learning, and it says what Imagine Learning licenses are available to districts, and were the state licenses for Imagine Learning available again this year, and how do they know if they have them?
Contact those 2 ladies. We have already worked with them this summer as far as allocating licenses based on the number of Ls that you have in your district, with a couple of other factors that play into that, such as grade levels. But yeah, contact them and they'll be able to get you all set up. So we're excited that you will have very minimal cost to use this tool.
Another thing that I want you to keep on your radar is this year, this coming summer, we will be doing EL curriculum review. So this is kind of an invitation for individuals to click on this app on the bottom, this application on the bottom. If you are interested in participating in our EL curriculum review, please click on that and put your availability and interest there. This is going to be, this will be my first round with it, but you will receive lots of free curricular materials from what our vendors submit for EL curriculum. It is going to be done mostly in the spring and summer of 2018. There is a week-long on-site review that will happen in June. That is June 18th through the 22nd, and that will be happening at the Boise Red Lion downtown. Again, if you are interested in this information and being able to participate in this, please complete that form that is the link on the bottom, and we will be contacting individuals who are interested in this very soon to get you rolling and get us rolling on that process. So documents and forms, there is a link to our State Department website, but just so you know, I have put on, I just got them back hot off the press from our translator. There is Spanish versions of the kindergarten WAPT parent notification, the parent notification of exit, EL services waiver form. So anything that you see in red that says Spanish, those versions of those forms are now on the State Department website. We just got them yesterday back from the translator, and I submitted them to be uploaded to the website yesterday. So they should be there. If they're not there yet, they should be there any second. So just if you need to know where to find those forms, there's the link up on top. The other thing that I have here is that if you have translated our statewide home language, our statewide home language survey into any other languages other than Spanish, and you are willing to share those with us so that we can make those available to other districts in our state, please let me know. There is my email and contact information. Again, since we're all using the same state home language survey, if you have done this, let's share the wealth. Resources. I know a lot of you have probably seen me carrying this around oftentimes, and this is kind of my go-to guide for being able to answer your questions if I have a question myself. Office for English, OCR has created these English learner toolkits. One is specifically on English learners, and the other one is specifically on newcomers. If you are a district or charter who has a large influx of newcomers. Excuse me, I have a frog in my throat. There is a PDF links for those two resources. The one I want to tell you about is this English Learner Toolkit that you see up here. It's really been updated with ESSA. Updates have been included, so you can see that now this corner up here says ESSA updates included. So this has all the new changes that have also been included, not only with OCR, but the new ESSA pieces as well. Great, great resources. Just a few reminders as you are getting students enrolled and getting students screened for language proficiency. With ESSA, you now have 30 days in order to place and identify a student as an English learner in your program, regardless of time of school year. So that is something that you use to your advantage. The other thing I just want to double check with you is, did you exit all of your English learners who met our new statewide criteria last year? So make sure that you have kiddos, if you had kiddos who scored our new exit criteria, that they were exited with an exit date from last year, because that is the school year in which that they met the exit criteria. Make sure that you are using the new statewide home language survey with all newly enrolling students in your district or charter, not just the ones that you think are going to be English learners. All students must have the opportunity to give their language use, and if they need to be an English learner, be qualified as an English learner if they are. And lastly, are the individuals who are administering your assessments certified to give those assessments within those WIDA portals? Just a reminder that we do have some, I'm going to kind of bop through this one quickly, but these next two slides really kind of give you the same information. Your kindergarten WAPT did not change for this school year. Your beginning of the year first graders will also continue to take the kindergarten WAPT just like they did last year, but we did have some changes in what our screen out criteria is depending on the time of year that those students are enrolling. So for kindergarten WAPT, if you have students who are taking that right now, your first semester kindergartners would need to have a score of 29 or 30 and reading of 6 or higher and writing of 5 points or higher in order to screen out. You're not dealing with second semester kindergarten, so I'm going to kind of bop over that. But you do have first semester first graders who are taking the kindergarten WAPT. They must have a score of 29 or 30, and their reading score must be 14 points or higher and 17 points or higher in order for them to screen out. If they do not get those, they are qualified as an English learner. If they get those, remember you need to code them as SO so that in the event that they do transfer to another school district, that new school district knows that the student already took a screener assessment and doesn't need to take it again and has a level of language proficiency that allowed them to screen out. Your middle of the year first graders through all your second through 12th graders, everyone else is going to be taking this new WIDA online screener. Again, come to the training next week that I plugged just a few minutes ago if you are someone who needs to get certified to give that assessment. WAPT certification and Access 2.0 certification does not, and I repeat, does not count as certification for the new online screener assessment. It is its own assessment and certification. If you are already administering any of those assessments right now, just a reminder that this is our screen out criteria for anyone who is grades middle of the year first grade through 12th grade. They must have a composite proficiency score of 5.0 or higher and at least 4.0 in each domain of listening, speaking, reading, and writing. And with that, we are to the end of our webinar presentation. So wrapping up any questions, if you have questions about who to contact for questions or concerns, compliments, comments, anything, here are your contacts within each of the programs. And do we have any questions before we get off? We have about 2 minutes.
Okay, we have a couple of questions. There was a question about where to get the resources, I think specifically the toolkit, and it might have been the OCR one.
I have and on those, if you go to those slides, the links are right there on that slide with the PDFs that go directly to those toolkits.
And are those something that people can order?
No, they're
PDFs
to print them off.
So you print them off and you can get them bound wherever you want. Okay. And then there was a question.
Can I add to that one?
Yeah.
Alyssa did upload the new PDF that has all the links that apparently were not working when we transferred it over to PDF. So now, yes, they're all in there.
Very good. And then there was a link for a summer school ELL curriculum that somebody asked about. And I could have them email you directly for that information. Yeah, I think that there are a couple that I'll have you look at, but I think that's the majority.
I need to move that over. So, lastly, really quick, Sarah, I'm going to do something on there. Can you flop? There was a question that came in over the break. Can you show them where to find the IDCI contact list one more time?
Absolutely.
Someone came in and asked to repeat that.
You bet.
I didn't move it over.
All right, so in order to get there, you're going to go to the SCE. So I have it in my bookmarks, but it's just www.sce.idaho.gov. And then you scroll down and you get into, personally, I think the best website or best department in the whole department. This is ours.
Sarah.
Well, you know, we worked pretty hard on this. Okay. So once you get here, you have 5 choices. You can either go look at our calendar, which I highly recommend, go to the Portal Center to get in to any of our apps. But to see how you look in IDCI, you're going to want to choose which program. So if you go to Migrant Education, it'll always be on the bottom right in both departments. So if you're a coordinator, you can look and see if you're listed in the coordinator role. And if you are a recruiter, you can do the same for recruiter. And then so that'll show you Migrant. If you go into the English Learner program, that will show, you can scroll down and that will show you the 2 roles for the English Learner program. So you're going to do that just by going to our department, going to which program you're looking at, and looking in the bottom right-hand corner.
And just so you know, I am uploading right now that handout that does have all of the, that does have all the links that are working. Give me 2 seconds. It is not letting me just drag it over.
Wouldn't let me either when I tried earlier.
We can always email it.
Yeah, definitely.
We are over time, but if
we will email it. Yep.
Are there any last questions? If not, I'm going to close it out.
How soon will the presentation be available? We will get it sent out as soon as we splice it and put it up on YouTube. We will send out all the information. So
a day or 2. Give us a day or 2.
Yep. And if you have questions that weren't answered, please feel free to email us so that we can, answer your questions individually.
All right. With that, we got to go. This room is booked right behind us. So have a great start of the year, and we look forward to seeing you at many of our upcoming events.
Thanks, guys.